The title, at least, piecing, is spelled P-E-A-C-I-N-G. And it was kind of inspired by a U2 song. There is no line on my horizon, but there's no horizon on my line either. I'm still piecing together this puzzle that's never really been apart, except through my own narrow, too-close perception. On an atomic level, with all these hard-to-see electrons spinning in apparent chaos and non-thought about me, it's easy to feel my whole you-and-I-verse is out of control. But from a broader perspective, it seems the electrons, protons, and neutrons are all in their proper places, making oxygen possible, which in turn combines with hydrogen to make water possible, which in turn makes me, who in turn makes these words fluid, or tries to do it. I suppose any line I see on the horizon between Atom and Eve would be illusory, as it is between morning and eve, between birth celebration and death grieving, between coming, maybe coming again, and leaving, between unwittingly revealing the truth and intentionally deceiving, between you and me even, and what seems outside of us and not about us, and still somehow about us after all. I'm still piecing together this puzzle that's never really been apart, any more than the sea and sky on my horizon. Sea, part of sky after all, evaporating, forming and filling clouds, and more clouds dissipating and falling again as rain. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. No matter how many times I shampoo my mind, I find myself all wet, like last night's dishes, soaking in the sink, waiting for me to get to washing them. Hot water turned cold and feeling greasier than it did last night, not making the dishes any easier, and here I am, trying to write a poem, thinking maybe there's no line between this poem and those dishes in the sink of my life, wondering who I am in this analogy after all. The silverware, the poem, the dish rag, the pots and pans, the water, the grease flowing from one to the other and back and eventually down the drain, or this whole kitschy sink, drink and all. And even when I can no longer function, I wonder whether I will outlast this crumbling house about me. For it seems there is only a man-made line between sink and house, between functioning, not functioning, and simply being, between washing last night's dishes and this morning's poetrying, between washing last night's poetry and this morning's dirty ass, between this and that, those and these, utilizing my legs and utilizing my knees, wiping this poetic plate with the last one's electrons, protons, neutrons, dirty cleansing water, and words. I fish for my favorite poetic cup, catching another I like as well, but never catching the horizon I hear tell is in there, out there, somewhere, sure as hell is unsure as I, because the only hell imaginable is one we imagine. And I just can't choose between earth and sea and sky, when as far as I can tell, there is no line on the horizon between any or all of them, or any and all of them and me. I'm willing to concede that as far as I see isn't necessarily all there is. So I keep my line in the dirty, cleansing dishwater of this you and I verse, fishing for clear categories, though there's been no horizon on my line yet, and as far as I can tell, there never will be. I've had my hands and hook in this sink for 43 years so far. Rinse and repeat, and for what? Maybe because I'm a poet, and the sink is my poetry, or because I'm human, and the sink is my me. And maybe this is why I feel so often like I'm sinking. But if you look at the world upside down, and who's to say which side is up? An Ohioan's upside down is an Australian's right side up. And from the sun's perspective, there is no line between right side up and upside down. It's all the same. Because the sun's eyes aren't just on one end of his body. His hands aren't just on a compass or a clock like ours. So I often feel like I'm sinking. But if I look at the world upside down, which from a broader perspective is no different than right side up, I see that as much as I'm sinking, I'm also rising, and so are you. There is no horizon on our line, and there is no line on our horizon. We're still piecing together this puzzle that's never really been apart.